So really appreciate the point of views that you've shared with us, especially the highlight that you provided towards the geopolitical shift after Trump's meeting with Zelensky yesterday is definitely an eye-opener. Now I'm going to call upon my colleague Megha Sharma to have a very small 10-minute question and answer round with the President. Big round of applause, please.
Thank you for that brilliant speech, President Wickremesinghe. And let's dive straight into it, talking about the future of South Asia and particularly, in specific, the relationship between India and Sri Lanka. How do you envisage it in wake of the new government that has been formed recently? And of course, the Prime Minister first coming to India, making the first visit to India after his election.
No, generally, the President and the Prime Minister make their first visits to India. I don't know whether they were ready to take over the government. But what I have done is, I've spoken with Prime Minister Modi. Because when we were in trouble, he all gave us $4.5 billion. With that on a side, I could handle the economy. Whether it's China or Japan, the rules were stricter for them. And they couldn't give to a country that's bankrupt. One was that because of our trade agreements, and I said secondly because of the neighborhood first policy, we got this money. I don't think many others can, maybe Maldives or any other countries. With that, now we have to, also Sri Lanka, getting out of bankruptcy not sufficient. We also have a deficit in our foreign exchange earnings. How do we work together? So, Prime Minister and Modi and I spoke, and we put all our agreements, our projects together. We are going to sell, basically, the idea was that we will sell renewable energy to India. I was trying to give 25 gigawatts or even 50 if we could do it. So that our economy would have benefited, you would have benefited. Secondly was to make Trincomalee the regional logistic hub with the pipeline coming in from in Nagapatnam and us putting basically a refinery there and developing it. So we were thinking in terms of developing that cluster. Then I was looking at how we can develop this corridor, which could have linked Madurai, the south of Tamil Nadu, up to Trincomalee. So these are the issues that are there. Unfortunately, we seem to be having some problems with the first project. We had the wind power project, but I think that should go through. So let's see what the government works out. I think I also want to take the matter up with the government and say that don't look at these as individual projects, but look at it as one big program which can send us into $1 trillion economy. We can't do it otherwise. But we go along with India and also with Indonesia. And Thailand, and Bangladesh, we are certainly into it.
I also want to understand from you, what is your perspective when it comes to China having massive influence in the subcontinent, and particularly Sri Lanka? Because just a few months ago, we saw those, ships that had been sent by the Chinese on the ports of Sri Lanka, so-called research vessels that had caused concern for India. And then we talk about the 99-year-old Hambantota lease, when we talk about the Colombo port that is at this point of time being built by the Chinese. Are these real concerns that the Sri Lankan regime is looking to delve deeper into?
And as far as the survey ships were there, it was being done by China and some others. But I sort of stopped it for the time being to look at it, and then I found that other countries were doing surveys in Sri Lanka and we were not getting the commercial benefit of it, and that we should bring in a law which ensured that we had the commercial benefits and were genuinely commercial events that came along. So I had stopped it, and I was hoping for Parliament to go into it. But even there was a concern that some of the surveys were not commercial. My concerns went even bigger. Even if you are commercial concerned, if I don't benefit, why should I allow you to be in my sea? So we had stopped that, and I think it's being reviewed. I don't know what the status is. No, Colombo, what has happened is China has got one of the terminals. The other terminal has gone to Adani. So we'll have both those. Hambantota, I am the one who handled the deal, but Hambantota, they can run a commercial enterprise only. Our southern command has to be shifted from Galle, the Navy's southern command, into Hambantota, and we already have a brigade headquarters in Hambantota. So, and we are strengthening the anti-submarine capacity of our Navy. I think those are steps we are.
Okay.
We know, far as China, anyone, we all decide what we do, and I think all the countries realize me. We have a good friendship with India, we have with Japan, we have with China. So we are working with a number of countries in the region.
Okay, and talking about the future of India and Sri Lanka relationship. Of course, Sri Lanka has gone through a severe economic crisis, as you mentioned, high inflation, bankruptcy. We're talking about foreign reserves that are at the lowest ebb at this point of time. How must India and Sri Lanka trade, work together for the equal and mutual development of the countries?
Well, it's going to take some time because the trade balance is more in your favor because we have to buy so much of food stuff. The other issues, as I said, we have a supplementary trade system going which is unofficial between Chennai and Colombo. So it's only as we develop and the supply chains come into the being, or we are selling energy to India, or we are logistics center that services India, that we can balance it out. At the moment, there aren't that much opportunity for Sri Lanka to gain money from India, except tourism, and that we must send it up to high-end tourism, larger numbers. But given a 10 to 15 year period, yes, I think we can do more. And as the whole region becomes a powerhouse, there are so many ways in which you can make money.
There's also, a prickly point when it comes to the India-Sri Lanka diplomatic relations, and this has been a concern raised by the Indian government time and again about the issue of the Tamil minorities. Do you see any sort of a resolution coming in the coming years?
It will come in. Basically, the Tamils we have two sets. The Tamils in North are really not from Tamil Nadu. I mean, they have more similarities with us. They became Tamil Hindus, we are Buddhist and Sinhalese. We have a second are the people who have come from India. We have given them citizenship. And the Nuwara district, which was a Sinhala majority electorate district, has now become a Tamil majority. And they are there. I have only one member in parliament, and he's Tamil from the hill country. The other ones, we have sorted some out. They are still the commission on truth and reconciliation. But I don't think those are getting in the way of our relations with India. That's not been a major issue at all. And I hope that this government will be able to, I've done a lot of the preliminary work. I hope the government can step it up. But no, we are getting it on. Have you come to Sri Lanka?
I have never, but I would really love to.
You must come to Jaffna. That's what Lord Shiva is worshipped in the Hindu kovils. Lord Vishnu is worshipped in the Buddhist temples.
Yes, yes. There are more commonalities than differences.
Oh, yes. And
yes, absolutely. In our eating habits,
everything. We are all a part of the South Indian culture, whether it's Telugu or Tamil Nadu or North of Sri Lanka or South of Sri Lanka. It's the same, and we run on the same solar calendar. When I go to the South, I have no difficulties at all.
Okay, I'm going to open the floor to my audience members who would really like to ask you a few questions. Yes. We'll come back to you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, President. That was an excellent speech also, and I enjoyed it. But just an impression about your, we heard about your business conversations with Prime Minister Modi, but you were there for his speech. You also had an interaction with him. So what were your takeaways from today?
Today, his one was how India will grow, and that's a good speech. I think my speech only is a supplement to it. I said, you have an India that's growing, then why don't we look at a larger region? Why are we confining ourselves to South India, which the Americans decided during World War II? Our influences go all the way to Vietnam. So it can be larger South Asia. They will deal with China and Japan. But that means that we should give up our links to them and treat them separately. The cultural links are with us. So if you take Sri Lanka through Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, South Vietnam, I mean the links are big. You have it. You go anywhere, you bump into the Ramayana, and either Rama or Sita or Ravan is somewhere there, hiding behind one of the corners. And Vietnam was founded by a Brahmin who married, I don't know if you know the story of pirate princess. Why are we keeping them out?
Yeah.
Excellency, this is Anangsha Mitra. I'm a journalist and a foreign affairs scholar. I have a capsule question, it's a pair-up question. The first one, do you gain a lot the more India and China fights?
Pardon?
Do you gain a lot whenever the India and China fights because you can negotiate the both? And number two, your former foreign minister Ali Savri recently in exports mentioned about why this is the era of multipolarity given the development of yesternight in Washington DC. Do you think Sri Lanka is in a position to go to the new development bank instead of IMF? Do you call this your recovery is basically the blessings for IMF?
I don't think New Development Bank is anywhere close to the IMF. Both the ADB and the Asian Infrastructure Development Bank would be close to it. Now you wanted to know about China and India fighting. Is that what we asked?
He said, is Sri Lanka benefiting every single time there is a tiff between India and China?
Look, India knows how to play the game. No? You are with the Quad, you are with the BRICS. So how can we go and intervene in a fight? You all are playing your game, we are playing our game, right? We all know that.
Are there more questions from the audience? There's one more.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this wonderful speech. Myself, Rahul Kumar. I want to ask a question regarding a bridge that is proposed to be built between India and Sri Lanka. So, what are the prospects that the bridge can be built, and what are the impediments?
Impediments are that some people in Sri Lanka think that this will get more Indian influence or Indians will come over the bridge. Yes, the whole idea that Indians should come over the bridge. Otherwise, we don't build a bridge. I mean, India is not going to take us over. We can't come and take India over. So I think we have to debate it more in Sri Lanka. But just imagine, you get South India gets Trincomalee as its harbour. And even we can put a new harbour in Colombo. You all can build it instead of Chinese there. So there's no issues. It is just getting over the, I think, I want to have open a discussion in Sri Lanka into all these areas. All of Madurai, Sri Lanka have been common areas. Your first Pallava kingdom, the army was led by a Sri Lankan prince who later on became a king in Anuradhapura, first Tamil kingdom. There's nothing to get frightened about.
Okay, on that note, I thank you, President Wickremesinghe, for joining me, and it's a pleasure to speak to you. We are honored to have you on the next forum. A huge round of applause for President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
You know, there are two types of religions in the world. There are two types of religion in the world, Abrahamic and Himalayan. Amongst the Abrahamic, there are conflicts. Himalayans somehow use their brain.
What an absolute honor it's been, ladies and gentlemen, to have amongst us Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. President sir, we thank you once again from the bottom of our hearts for joining us at the inaugural NXT Conclave, sir. Please let's keep the round of applause going for